the millionaire next door? I don't. Okay, they haven't told me, but I did discover that someone in the next neighborhood over is. Just like Thomas Stanley shared in his book, my near neighbor has traits that have made him able to retire early, like at age 33. And he and his wife are parents to 3 school-age kids. So if you're looking at not only building your wealth, but having more time for your family, please save this episode. Justin from Root of Good is on the show to help you start becoming more financially independent. In this episode, we get into the 3 expenses to master so you can retire early, how to find a house that will be a home and help you to build wealth, and how to simplify your life, along with tips on investing and growing your portfolio. I hope you enjoy. Last week, Justin celebrated a milestone. It had been 1,000 days since he retired in his early 30s. Besides being financially independent so young, what makes his journey even better, at least to me, is that he and his wife were able to build their wealth with 3 kids at home. The good news for us is that with his new freedom, Justin finally had time to start a new project, which he called Root of Good.
After I retired, I started this blog where I talk a little bit about early retirement, the lifestyle, the finances, taxes, healthcare, health insurance, what I'm up to, the trips we take. So just kind of a mixed bag of different topics that might be of interest to a lot of people considering early retirement or just looking at financial independence or building wealth in general.
While most of us understand the general idea that we have to spend less than we earn and invest that money saved, it can seem overwhelming, especially in the beginning. So instead of looking at the small details and where you can optimize here and there, Justin broke down on how you can save big. The foundation begins with mastering your biggest expenses: housing, cars, and food.
We thought we were going to have kids pretty soon, so we went ahead and bought the house that we thought we would need to raise somewhere between 1 kid and 6 kids. We didn't know at the time how many kids we would want to have, so we ended up having 3 kids, and we're done. But we focused on buying a house that we knew we could afford at the time easily, and then knowing that, hey, we can fix it up over time. We can do a little bit each year as our incomes grow, as we have more money coming in. We'll be able to afford to fix it up, and it's a work in progress. It's always going to be a work in progress. The house is getting close to 50 years old now, but it's really just the mortgage when we started out was $400 or $500 a month. It just wasn't a very large mortgage.
Real estate agents will tell you how important location is, and it's certainly something to keep in mind, but you need to go deeper. You have to know the neighborhood. Now, when you're shopping around for a house, don't look for the swanky and the popular. Those neighborhoods usually mean you're going to pay a lot more for not much in actual benefits. Instead, look for the gems in the rough. Look for places that have everything you need, but at a fraction of the price.
We looked at places all around Raleigh, and we even looked at building new. And then I think we kind of figured out it was going to be too expensive to build anything from scratch. But and I guess it might also be we're just looking in relatively inexpensive areas and areas we're familiar with. So we're probably biased towards those areas just because family was there. We visited those areas, but we did end up buying a place about 1.5 miles down the street from our in-laws' house.
By choosing a place near family, Justin and his wife were able to further reduce their living expenses around the house, along with getting a deal on childcare.
It did also play into our financial well-being because we're able to share resources. It's easy to go borrow a pickup truck. Before we had a minivan, it was easy to go borrow a pickup truck. If they have extra fresh fruit they picked from their garden, we were the gracious recipients of that surplus. Childcare is another big one. We ended up taking our children over there when they were young for babysitting, and we still paid them some, but it was less than what a daycare would have been, and it also provided a decent income for my mother-in-law. So it was sort of a mutually beneficial arrangement over time. And we're able to help. I go over there and help work on their appliances and that sort of thing, and computers. So we're just kind of trading off, just like a family does. We're trading off what we're good at and what they're good at and what they have time for. Sort of a good exchange.
Now, if you're nowhere near relatives, you can still do something similar by being near your network of friends or by creating your own neighborhood tribe. And back to the buying, when you're looking at neighborhoods in different cities, home prices can vary greatly depending on where you live. So I'm not going to give you a target price to hunt for. Instead, you should consider how easily your mortgage payments fit with your take-home pay.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where our mortgage payment ended up at $1,200 a month, but by the time it was $1,200 per month, we were both earning a lot more than my sole salary when we first started out right out of college. So our household income was, went from $48,000 to both of us working and making a lot more. So we were making, maybe $120,000 a year. So $1,200 a month on $120,000 income is very doable, but that definitely would have been harder when we were fresh out of college.
After housing, cars can be another huge chunk out of the budget. When we were first married, I had a car loan on my Jetta, and it was a weight on our already tight budget. We now avoid car loans and just buy them with cash. It sounds crazy, but it's been wonderful. You can find some great cars that will last for years. Justin and his wife are also very careful on how they spend for their transportation.
Up until a few months ago, we drove the same cars we bought in college 16 years ago.
If you're new to the podcast, we do have a couple shows and articles on how to find a great car without getting a loan, which I'll share in the show notes. But finally, you need to eat, right? There's no joy in only eating rice and beans just to save money, so I'm not going to tell you to do that. As you're working towards financial independence, you can still have awesome meals like homemade tamales or beef curry without draining your wallet. The trick is mastering some essential skills like meal planning and cooking.
We cook almost all the meals at home. We just got done cooking pad thai tonight from scratch, but just saving a lot of money by not going out to eat, but still having pretty crazy, amazing meals at home just because we spent time learning how to cook. So really food, housing, and transportation. Those three things are the big ones for everyone's expenses, and keeping those three costs low goes a long way towards saving a lot of money.
So let's say you're rocking and rolling, saving a truckload of money. Where should you invest it in? Despite the hype and the secrets splashed on the TV or on the web, one of the most effective ways you can stash your cash is fairly simple.
Yeah, I think you can probably summarize it in one sentence. Buy a low-cost, diversified set of investments from around the world. And you implement this, or at least I do. We're talking about Vanguard mutual funds or ETFs, passive index funds that have very low costs, expense ratios under 0.2% in general. I happen to choose a kind of a complicated asset allocation with investments all over the world, emerging markets, international value, small cap international real estate, and then all those U.S. sectors as well. But that's, don't listen to me. Don't do as I do as I say. I think if you pick two or three funds, like a total market index in the U.S., a total international index, and a bond fund, those are, those three funds, you can create an extremely powerful investment portfolio. Craft it yourself at Vanguard. Don't pay any fees, or buy one of their funds that's already that consists of the same exact three funds, but all in one fund, like a life strategy growth fund, for example, for young people might be appropriate. But it's really just focusing on that passive investment, letting the market grow over time, take advantage of low costs, take advantage of tax efficiency, and put in more money each year and let it grow over 10 or 20 years, and you'll end up with a lot of money.
I use Vanguard for my IRA, and my husband uses Betterment. But I still recommend that you do your own homework before investing. No one will care about your money like you do. Financial independence can be closer than you think. But I'm not going to lie, it's going to take effort. If you're on the fence or you're trying to get your spouse on board, Justin has some advice and encouragement.
I think a lot of people are scared to make that switch from working full-time to working less than full-time, whether that's, 0 hours a week or 1 hour a week or 20 hours a week. I think there's a lot of this big psychological hurdle that you have to jump over to go from working full-time and relying on a paycheck to working much less than full-time and relying primarily on your investment portfolio to provide your livelihood. And it can be scary too, just because, if the market goes down, that's your livelihood that goes down, but it also in general has gone back up eventually in the past. So I think but I think overall, if you are interested in it, you can always make the jump, try it out. And if it doesn't work out, you can always go back and get a job. I think there too many times people say, well, there's no way I could ever do it because I could never go back and get another job again. I still get people now that are like, hey, we're really busy at my workplace. Would you want to come in part-time, or, you want to come in for an interview? Could you do it as a freelancer? I have to say no probably about once a month for people. And maybe that's a sign of the economy doing well. But I think there's always going to be opportunities out there, even if you leave what you think is a one-of-a-kind job that you could never replicate. You're going to get involved in other things after you do retire early that may interest you even more and may lead to some sort of an encore career that you really enjoy doing a lot more than you did your original career. If you're not solely focused on making money, it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of how much you work, where you work, what kind of engagements you accept. It's a really nice feeling to not be tied down to any given schedule, and just to say, okay, well, it's nice outside this month. I just want to go outside and do fun things and hang out with the kids and not have to worry about, I have to go to work from 9 to 5 every day this week and next week and the week after.
Very special thanks to Justin for coming on the show. If you're looking at becoming financially independent and or just retiring early, go check out Root of Good. Justin lays it all out so you can replicate or modify things to suit your own financial independence goals. And as we wrap up this season, I want to say thank you so much. Couple Money Podcast is made possible because of listeners like you. Every tweet, Facebook like, and pin gets the word out. I'm so grateful for your support. We'll start out our next season in July, so there's plenty of time still to send in your money questions. I'd love to tackle them out on the podcast. And if you had success as a couple with your finances, like paying off a debt, saving for a milestone, or retiring early, please let me know. Just reach out. I'm at Elle@couplemoney.com. While I prepare for season 4, I'll have some special episodes up, new interviews and tips for you. And you can sign up and become a patron and support the show. For $1 or more a month, you can get behind-the-scenes access and extra bonuses. Help shape this next season. Either way, thank you again. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.